Let's begin with the foundations. Tom Holland, the actor. This is another lecture. I'm Alexei. Thank you for joining us today
Hi, I'm Priyanka. Happy to be here.
to frame our discussion. Tom Holland is, in simpler terms, the British performer many listeners associate with Spider-Man. He is the London kid who danced his way through Billy Elliot on the West End and vaulted, quite literally, into a global superhero identity. He is widely perceived as approachable, energetic, and technically agile. This combination made him legible to general audiences as both a believable teenager and a credible action lead.
And I think most people first met him in Captain America Civil War, right? Then Homecoming made him the center of the story, which felt fresh because he actually looked and moved like a high school kid trying to keep up with world-saving adults.
Technically speaking, Holland's career is a study in franchise integration. He signed a multi-picture arrangement with Marvel Studios in 2015 after a wide audition field, and his movement vocabulary from dance and gymnastics, cited by the Russo brothers, proved decisive in the role. In the institutional ecology of British and international film, winning the BAFTA Rising Star Award in 2017 served as a public signal of emergent bankable talent. It is noteworthy because the award is voter-driven, which captures audience appetite rather than only guild sentiment. This, then, positioned him at the intersection of artistry and market demand. As we continue, the relevance is immediate. Holland helped recalibrate the superhero template toward youthful levity without relinquishing emotional stakes, and his titles have contributed to a box office footprint of about $10 billion worldwide. In a period when theatrical exhibition was questioned, Far From Home and No Way Home, in particular, functioned as bellwethers for audience return to event cinema. The latter, during pandemic conditions, is a case study in multi-generational intellectual property synergy.
And I think there are misunderstandings too. People see the charm and the acrobatics, but they sometimes miss the hard pivot he had to make, from projecting to a live theatre crowd to calibrating for a camera. Also, he has pushed into heavier material, like The Devil All the Time and Cherry, even if the films got mixed reviews. He still took the risk and did the prep.
Let's proceed to the next point, some basic coordinates. Holland's full name is Thomas Stanley Holland. He was born in June 1996 in Kingston upon Thames. His parents, Nicola, a photographer, and Dominic, a comedian and author. We observe here a household conversant with both image-making and narrative. He transitioned from West End discipline to screen durability, earned a BAFTA Rising Star, collected Saturn Awards for successive superhero turns, and extended his range with voice roles in Spies in Disguise, Onward, and Doolittle. He is also a noted supporter of Tottenham Hotspur, which, for his sins, keeps him in a permanent state of probabilistic hope.
Some details stick in the mind. As a kid, he owned around 30 Spider-Man costumes, which is statistically amusing given where he ended up. He did that viral lip-sync battle to Rihanna's Umbrella in 2017, which, showed the dance training was not just a footnote. And he developed a running gag in the MCU press cycle as the person most likely to drop spoilers, which led studios to limit his access to full scripts. It's endearing, and also very practical.
Chronologically, 2006, he is spotted at the Richmond Dance Festival. 2008, West End debut in Billy Elliot, soon promoted to the lead. 2012, The Impossible provides a punishing, precise screen apprenticeship and serious critical notice. By 2015, he appears in Wolf Hall and In the Heart of the Sea. June that year, he signs to play Spider-Man. 2016, Civil War debut. 2017, Homecoming. 2019, Far From Home passes $1 billion. 2021. No Way Home becomes the top global grosser of the year. He adds Uncharted in 2022, helps produce and star in The Crowded Room in 2023, returns to the West End in 2024, establishes his Sony-aligned production company Billy 17, and in 2026 plays Telemachus in Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, with another Spider-Man entry, Brand New Day, slated thereafter. Along the way, he invests in dog pound gyms, commits to teetotal living from early 2022, and in June 2026, confirms he and Zendaya are married. Before we get to the complexities, a personal note. I admire the craft choices that do not reward immediately. Accent work for rural Ohio, weight cycling for a morally ambiguous veteran, the humility to go back to theater and stand on bare stage. As teachers, we try to inculcate that same incremental discipline. The examination is not the world, but preparation for the world. This logically leads us to three questions: a historical contingency, a counterfactual about timing and markets, and an open question concerning mental health and professional sustainability.
So, I've been wondering about this first one. What if he had not been discovered at that 2006 dance festival? Does everything change? Or do his skills find another route into the industry?
It is worth noting the discovery is not merely serendipity. It intersected with prior inputs, family support, early dance training, and a willingness to be publicly visible at a young age. Absent Lynn Page's intervention, we can infer a slower pathway. Holland had contemplated carpentry and primary school teaching. Either could have dominated his late adolescence. His auditioning body language, however, is what the Russos later selected for Spider-Man. Without Billy Elliot, those kinesthetic habits might not have matured in time for the 2015 global search. In such a branch of the timeline, the role may plausibly have gone to another finalist. Yet given his persistence and the Brit school background, I suspect we would still observe him entering screen work, perhaps via more modest UK television, perhaps later and likely without the same velocity. The industry's macro effect would be subtle. The MCU would remain triumphant, but the specific tonal calibration of Spider-Man, ebullient, agile, conspicuously teen, might have been less pronounced.
Building on that, can we say early career choices compound? Like learning gymnastics with Billy Elliot later pays off in superhero stunt credibility. Is that a fair through line?
Clearly, the through line is direct. The stage's muscular discipline becomes screen readiness. The movement lexicon becomes audition advantage. The early professional culture inoculates him against chaotic sets. Moreover, the confidence to perform live, see that umbrella routine, signals to studios a bankable showman. In human capital terms, the option value of each early skill is high. When the MCU call arrives, those options are exercised at scale.
Okay, second question. What if Spider-Man No Way Home had been delayed out of 2021 because of pandemic uncertainty? Does it still explode? Or does it lose something unique about that moment?
In this context, timing is not merely a calendar variable. It is an emotional and infrastructural one. No Way Home succeeded as the first post-2019 film to cross $1 billion, leveraging pent-up demand, cross-franchise nostalgia, and a relative scarcity of rival tentpoles. If delayed into a more crowded quarter, it likely remains a major hit because the multi-generational Spider-Man architecture is robust. However, the symbolic role, proof of life for theatrical exhibition, would be attenuated. Investor and studio risk models recalibrated because that specific winter produced decisive data. Holland's momentum would still be strong, but the narrative, actor at the center of cinema's pandemic-era reawakening, would soften. Publicity cycles would shift, and ancillary windows could face different competition, which matters for long-tail cultural saturation.
So from the industry's perspective, the lesson about event cinema might have arrived later, or less convincingly. Does that change how studios value young franchise leads like Holland?
Arguably, it would have introduced more variance into greenlight decisions. Still, Holland's star power had already manifested. Far From Home's billion, Uncharted's resilient grosses amid mixed reviews. The data suggest his four-quadrant appeal reduces downside risk. So even with a delay, we would expect continued premium valuation for his next slate, including the Sony-aligned production ambitions under Billy 17. The macro story of youthful leads as market anchors persists. Only the confidence interval widens temporarily.
Last question. What are the ongoing challenges he faces balancing career demands with personal well-being, especially after talking about burnout and taking a year off?
It's important to understand the pressures are multidimensional. He has spoken of being an impossible people pleaser, and once vomiting after a press conference. He then adopted boundaries, including a year-long break following The Crowded Room, which he also produced. Add to this the complexity of dyslexia. He has said reading aloud is difficult, contributing to declining Saturday Night Live invitations, and ADHD disclosure, plus sleepwalking and paparazzi nightmares. Sobriety from early 2022, by his account, stabilized social settings. Yet structural pressures remain. Secrecy protocols in blockbuster franchises, relentless global press cycles, and the physicality of his own stunt inclination. The marriage to Zendaya, kept private until he confirmed it in June 2026, underscores a strategy of ring-fencing personal life against algorithmic speculation and even AI-generated fakes.
If I may suggest a future-facing angle, what would the industry need to change to support performers like him when roles are psychologically or physically intense?
We observe a few levers. First, normalize embedded mental health resources, the way productions normalize stunt safety. Psychological check-ins should be baked into schedules for heavy material. Second, rationalize press demands. Fewer junket hours, longer recovery windows, and the courage to allow opt-outs where neurodiversity makes specific formats counterproductive. Live cold reads, for instance. Third, continue the trend of actor-producers, as with Billy 17, who can shape workloads and thematic balance. Finally, educate the public about deepfakes and rumor hygiene. If we can reduce the ambient noise around a private life, we reduce one of the least necessary stressors. All of this is not indulgence. It is quite simply preserving the asset and the human. To summarize, Tom Holland is a British actor who translated West End rigor and movement intelligence into a defining Spider-Man, broadened his range with darker roles and producing, and navigated public life with a mix of candor and boundary setting. We asked 3 questions about a pivotal early discovery, the timing of a pandemic-era box office event, and the ongoing equilibrium between craft and care. For further study, examine the MCU's role in reconfiguring risk tolerance and audience loyalty in post-2010 cinema. This concludes our lecture for today. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Professor. And thanks everyone for spending time with us. Take care and see you next time.